based also. ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳ್ಸೋದು.
Okay, let's do a small kirtan by the time devotees join in. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yasodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Subhadramani Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Subhadramani Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya
Jaya Nitai Chaitanya
Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Jai Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jai Jai Gurudev Nitai Gauru Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Sudamai ki jai, Shri Nitai Chaitanya Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Radha Krishna Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Lakshmi Narasimha Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Govardhan Maharaj ki jai, Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Anantikoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome all of you to this Sunday morning class. Sunday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We'll try to see who all are there. Hare Krishna, Prashant Prabhu. Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji is there. Okay. Hare Krishna Mataji. I didn't link that Krishna Kishore Prabhu, and okay, now I link it out. Okay, that was a little. I was like yesterday. I'm sorry, Prabhu, I didn't attend your class yesterday, so I knew that you were giving the Bhagavatam class yesterday. So I was just thinking, okay, Krishna Kishore Prabhu, and I was little trying to link the face to the name, and somehow we haven't interacted too much, so I just couldn't do that. Okay, now I catch up everything. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Sorry.
Well, my legal name is Krishna Murari Sharma.
Yes, Prabhu. I have seen your other name that way more often on my Zoom. So okay, very nice of you and Mataji. Always. Hare Krishna. Okay. Hare Krishna, Swati Mataji. Arvinda Prabhu, long time, huh? Hare Krishna, Shivam Prabhu. Swati Mataji and Sunita Mataji. Hare Krishna, long time. I think I have been on this morning Bhagavatam class maybe after 4 months or so. So somehow I have been on different time zones and other things, and somehow I have not been able to. It's always a nice thing. Okay, and of course, Revati Nandan Prabhu out there manning out everything. Glorious Revati Nandan Prabhu and Gita Gamya.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so Prabhu is the one who every day, sun or rain, does the service of ensuring goes out to everyone. So that's Revati Nandan Prabhu. Okay, perfect. And we have a very nice conversation today to discuss on in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's between the conversation between Vidura and Maitreya Muni, and Prashant Prabhu and Jyotisha Prabhu have kindly instructed me to speak on 3, 5, 17 and 18. So I shall speak on that. Try sharing my screen, and we shall do that. So this third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is particularly interesting, as well as a bit very technical, if I can call it. Sometimes I really don't like this, but like Srila Prabhupada said, you need to know about this so that you appreciate the Lord too much. But it's really too technical out there, and the technicality is just after this conversation, after this chapter, mostly from the 5th chapter through 11th chapter, and then post that where you discuss on the Sarga and Visarga. So it doesn't matter what you like or don't like, but these are something very, very interesting conversations which are there. So we are today reading 17 and 18, and then we shall reflect on this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Sukha Uvacha. Sa evam Bhagavan Pristha Kshetra Kausharavo Munihi. Pumsham Nihasreya Sarthena Tamaha Bahumanayan. Sri Sukha Uvacha. Sa evam Bhagavan Pristha Kshetra Kausharavo Munihi. Pumsam Nihasreya Sarthena Tamaha Bahumanayan. Anyone devotee would like to repeat it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Shri Shukavacha Saivam Bhagavan Prashta Kshatra Kausharavo Muni Pumsam Nishraya Sartena Tamaha Bahumanaya.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sri Sukha Uvacha, Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Sahi evam das Bhagavan, the great sage, Prishtaha, being requested, Kshatra by Vidura, Kausharavaha, Maitreya, Munihi, the great sage, Pumsam, for all people, Mihasreyasa, for the greatest welfare, Arthena, for that, Tam, unto him, Aha, narrated, Bahu, greatly, Manayan, honoring. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Sukadeva Goswami said, the great sage Maitreya Muni, after honoring Vidura very greatly, began to speak at Vidura's request for the greatest welfare of all people. Papat. The great sage Maitreya Muni is described here as Bhagavan because he surpassed all ordinary human beings in learning and experience. Thus, his selection of the greatest welfare service for the world is considered authoritative. The all-inclusive welfare service for the entire human society is devotional service to the Lord. And as requested by the sage, described the same very appropriately. Pretty interesting. Sukha, who is supposed to be the learned thing, it seems one time it was asked to Lord Shiva, who understands Srimad Bhagavatam? And Lord Shiva said, I understand, Sukha understands. Vyasa may not understand. That's like a pretty heavy statement, you know. Vyasa wrote, but Shiva says Vyasa may not understand, but Sukha has, but Sukha has understood. But the same Sukha is calling Maitreya as Bhagavan. So makes it very interesting because he will never speak. He is such a person who will not do anything, any mistake because he understands. So he's calling Maitreya as Bhagavan. And here it goes that the great sage Maitreya Muni. So Prabhupada has translated as Maitreya Muni, but then in the purport he writes, he's calling him Bhagavan. A subject for discussion, which we shall discuss after we read the translation of the next one. Let's see. So now Maitreya speaks. Of course, it is not called as Bhagavan Uvacha, but he's calling it as Maitreya Uvacha. Maitreya Uvacha Sadhu Prishtam Tvaya Sadho Lokan Sadhva Anugrahanata Kirtim Vitanvata Loke Atmano Adhuksa Jatmanaha. Maitreya Uvacha Sadhu Prishtam Tvaya Sadho Lokan Sadhva Anugrahanata Kirtim Vitanvata Loke Atmano Adhuksa Jatmanaha. Synonyms. Maitreya Uvacha, Sri Maitreya said, Sadhu, all good, Prishtam, I am asked, Tvaya, by you, Sadhu, O good one, Lokan, all the people, Sadhu Anugrahanata, showing mercy and goodness, Kirtim, glories, Vitanvata, broadcasting, Loke, in the world, Atmanaha, of the self, Adoksaja, the transcendence, Atmanaha, mind. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Maitreya said, O Vidura, all glory unto you. You have inquired of the greatest of all goodness, and thus you have shown your mercy both to the world and to me, because your mind is always absorbed in the thoughts of the transcendence. Prabhupada. Maitreya Muni, who was experienced in the science of transcendence, could understand that Vidura's mind was fully absorbed in transcendence. Adoksaja means that which transcends the limit of sense perception or sensuous experience. The Lord is transcendental to our sense experience, but he reveals himself to the sincere devotee. Because Vidura was always absorbed in thought of the Lord, Maitreya could estimate Vidura's transcendental value. He appreciated the valuable inquiries of Vidura, thanked him with great honor. Okay. Let's take the blessings of the Parampara and we can try reflecting on these two verses. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmritam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimati Jayapataka Swami Namo Namo Acharya Padaya Nitaya Bhaktidaya Gaurapataya. Hare Krishna. So a very interesting conversation which we are discussing today. And we also have Achyut Prabhu here, so it becomes more interesting. Banu Mataji, Rukmini Mataji, I hope your health is good, Rukmini Mataji, and you're recovering.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dada Pranam. I am recovering, Prabhuji.
Okay, perfect. That's very nice. Poonam Mataji, Naman, Prabhu, and Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I think Gaur is Mahesh. Okay, first of all, let's chant one time for all the devotees and even the non-devotees who are suffering from this worst pandemic, which is we have seen in our lifetime, and it's really taking on the nerves. Let's chant so that Krishna willing, they get well soon and get back to devotional service. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
It's like
With all of your blessings, Prabhuji, Vaishnava's blessings, I am recovering, Prabhuji.
very nice, Mataji. Very nice. I think that's also the only thing which we can do, Mataji, for you. This world has become at such a time that people have to now understand the importance of prayer, the importance of humanity. So that's very, very important. Thank you for that. And I think this conversation also goes something on in hand with what is happening now. So the society has moved in such a way at the present point of time, before the pandemic, the pre-2019 era, which will be told later on, that the society had changed to an extent where any discussion was supposed to be the discussion on how progress of science, the modern science is, or how progress of, or how the country being managed, about politics, about different other materialistic inventions and advancements. But we understand very clearly in this particular context also that nothing has hold its sway when nature has unleashed its terror. And nature is just one of the energies of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, right? And he says that I am above all of these, right? And we are just not able to control it. We may swell up our, say different things, we may put in different perspectives, we may say anything, but it is but very clear that we are somehow, not somehow, we have been absolutely devastated. We have been absolutely put down by the force of the nature, and have understood that we are but a tiny soul, if we can understand, who has no control of anything which happens. I was talking to my brother-in-law yesterday, my sister, my brother-in-law, the sister-in-law, a total family is COVID positive, and they came and they took them to the COVID center 3-4 days back. So we're saying, I didn't even think 15 days back that I'll be staying here, but I'm today here sitting on a 19th floor. I said, that's what it is. So when we know now at this point of time, everyone, it's dawning upon everyone that there are aspects which should be given priority more than what is needed in the day-to-day activities. And that is what, that is not something new, but that is something which we went away from. And comes very clearly when Vidura also experienced this. Now, Vidura was the only person when Duryodhana, when we read the Mahabharata Shanti when Lord Sri Krishna comes to give peace a chance, let me give peace a chance. When Lord Krishna comes, and Duryodhana, instead of trying to accept the olive branch which the Supreme Personality of Godhead has brought, he instead tries to show his cloud to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by trying to bind him, and his ill advisors also advise him so of Sakuni and Dushashan, and they try to bind the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is only bound by the love of the devotees. He cannot be bound by any particular strength. So when he tries to do that, of course, Krishna shows a partial manifestation of the universal form. Long story short, nothing can be done to him. Everyone just sees the light. They cannot even pass through the light. And it so happens that only who all see, it's mentioned Bhishma sees, Vidura sees, Sanjaya sees, Drona sees, Kripa sees, even Karna sees it. The Lord gives the vision to Karna at that point of time to see. And then Dhritarashtra also requests that let me also see, and Dhritarashtra gets that. After that, he walks away. And then Vidura chastises in a little point of time, and Duryodhana ends up saying very inimical things to Vidura. And Vidura places his bow in the palace and walks out. Now, things could have gone in two ways. Things could have, either Vidura could have gone, and Vidura would have thought that maybe this is the sign of providence, let me just go, I can go and I can attach myself to the Pandavas, and then I can also fight from there. That's the justified thing. Something, and then he just goes out on pilgrimage thinking that let me go and visit the places, because by staying in the association of such people, my consciousness is totally gone. So he says that. So what he says is, so he goes out to visit the places of pilgrimage. Now, when you go to the places of pilgrimage, he's going out place of pilgrimage, because when he goes to a place of pilgrimage, you get purified. And Srila Prabhupada has also said that when you go to a place of pilgrimage, but just you go there for sightseeing, it doesn't give the value. So you got to at least go there and hear from the devotees out there. Only then that can purify you. Only by the mercy of the devotees can we understand this, can we understand the pilgrimage, can we understand the importance. So while he's going, now a long time has happened between the time the wars have been fought, and he's going on the bank of Yamuna. Vidura happens to meet Uddhava. Now Uddhava is someone who looks just like Krishna. Seeing Uddhava from far, even the gopis had for a second thought, has Krishna come back? So Vidura, also being a very nice devotee of the Lord, he thought the Lord, but then when he sees Uddhava, they exchange pleasantries. Uddhava understands Vidura is a great devotee of the Lord. Vidura understands Uddhava is a great devotee of the Lord. To get a devotee association, to get like-minded devotees association is particularly more important. Both were like-minded. And Vidura pays obeisances, Uddhava pays obeisances. And just think about this. When both of them are exchanging pleasantries and Uddhava says, oh, you were just late by a few days. says, what do you mean? He says, yes, you just, the Supreme Personality of Godhead just left the planet. Vidura is devastated that his dearest Lord has left. But there comes a particular thing. The Uddhava says that Vidura, the Lord, before he left, he remembered you. He was asking about you. We have so far read that when we are leaving our body, we should remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? Smaran Muktva Kalevaram. We have saw that. But just remember the Lord while he's leaving, the Lord is remembering someone. So how much transcendental he is, or how big a devotee he is. The Lord, of course, knows everyone, but he's remembering this. Seeing this or hearing this, Vidura's joy knew no bounds. It was like, the Lord remembered me. Okay, please tell me about the Lord. He starts asking Uddhava, what did the Lord say? Explain to me everything. Now see, each one of these incidents is such a beautiful interaction that we have to learn from our life, in our life. It's like when Vidura sees, so both of them meet, they are meeting and they're talking about the Lord. But when Vidura is asking Uddhava, Uddhava listens to it. It's not that Uddhava doesn't know or Uddhava cannot explain. Uddhava can do that. Uddhava has it in him, but Uddhava follows all the basic Vaishnava etiquette. Uddhava understands that this is Vidura, who is also a transcendental devotee of the Lord. At this point of time, it's not good for me to talk to him. See, we don't see a seniority of a Vaishnava based on age, based on any particular thing. But a Vaishnava always considers himself as lower than the other. And so what Uddhava does, Uddhava plays table tennis. In table tennis, you can, the best thing to do is to deflect it. You just deflect it. The one who can deflect it the best is the best player. So he says, hey, you know what? I have been given a mission. So they have given a mission to me. The mission to me is that I have to go and meet the sages of Badrika Ashram, because I have to complete that mission. So I cannot do this. But know what? At that point, when the Lord was explaining me, there was Maitreya Muni also. So can you please ask it to him? He says, where will be Maitreya? He says, he'll be here only, just there. Like complete Indian, where, how far is the, how much far is that place? Oh, just there. When we do this Govardhan Parikram also, you see that. It's like, ho gaya kya, khatam ho gaya kya? Radhe Radhe, thoda, bas ho hi gaya. Bas ho hi gaya. They just keep saying, just there, just there, just there. And by that they increase us. And so Uddhava, Vidura asks, where is Uddhava? Where is Maitreya? Just there. It was not just there. It's from there he has to go to Haridwar. And it's on the bank of Haridwar that he meets. So just imagine, even now you will take 2 days, I think almost 2 to go there, to reach there. So it was just there. And when he goes there, he meets Maitreya Muni. And once he meets Maitreya Muni, he pays his obeisances. Now, where is this? So that part is coming. Now, where is this part of conversation coming up in Srimad Bhagavatam? Well, this part of conversation is coming when Parikshit is asking a question and Sukadev, instead of directly answering, now once again you see, Sukadev could have directly answered it, but Sukadev doesn't directly instruct. That's one more etiquette which we have to learn. Sukadev could have directly instructed, but Sukadev says, wow, your questions are the best, but you are not asking it for the first time. These questions are already asked by Vidura. And Maitreya has explained it. So let's go and listen from them. Listening to the parampara as to how the sages have discussed between them and how it has been understood, a very, very, very important aspect. People sometimes just jump over things, thinking that they know better. People come about saying Srila Prabhupada didn't give all the things, but Srila Prabhupada gave everything. And Srila Prabhupada gave everything because he quoted Prabhupada things. And so that's how, even here, Sukadev quotes, and then Vidura starts asking. And when Vidura asks, now Vidura out of his humility, see now when you're going, you know who is Maitreya, you know what you are. And he was thought to be initially, Vidura is just inquiring about the Lord and his activities. But when Vidura goes and Vidura is asking Maitreya, he doesn't immediately start on the Lord. To be on a humble platform, you see, the first question he asks is very, very general. He asks, "O great sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness, but one finds neither satiation nor the mitigation of distress. On the contrary, one is only aggravated by such activities. Please therefore give us directions on how one should live for real happiness." So he says, so he beats around the bushes, if I can say that. He's beating around the bushes. He's understanding. Why is that? It's not Vidura doesn't know this. Vidura knows this perfectly clearly. But why it is? You know, when Srila Prabhupada also writes in the Bhagavad Gita, saying that not that Arjuna didn't know it, but Krishna wanted it that way so that Arjuna asks it so that a less intelligent, dumb person like me will never be able to ask such questions. When I go to a class, I listen to a class by wonderful Vaishnavas, at least I'm speaking for myself. At the end of the class, I don't even have a question to ask. And so to ask such questions which will be helpful for others needs that level of intelligence. And there has to be that kind of person who can answer. And that's why Arjuna asked Krishna. Similarly, Vidura also has to ask those questions, because as answer to those questions, the great souls can explain it to everyone. That's a very important thing. And that's why as conversations, Srila Prabhupada's conversations, very important. It's as important as what Srila Prabhupada has written. And thanks to Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, they have the conversations written by us. Because we will not even be able to ask that question. Let me not say we. I will not be able to ask this question. Some of you are wonderful devotees. You will be able to ask. I sometimes think, such a dull-headed guy. So for that, Vidura asks. And then Vidura comes back to the point, you know. He comes back to the point and he says, please give me instruction on the transcendental devotional service to the Lord. Bola, jada ho gaya ab sab kuch. Then now let me ask about the Lord himself. He asks about the transcendental devotion to the Lord, so that, and then he goes on to ask. The next of the questions are about Supreme Personality of Godhead, how he accepts incarnations. Basically, he's asking about the Purusha avatars. He asks about everything. Then he also, please explain about the other incarnations, how the Supreme King of all kings has created different planets and places of habitation. So he's asking about the Lord's expansion, then about Narayana. He asks all the particular thing. And then who in human society can be satisfied without hearing sufficient talk of the Lord, whose lotus feet are the sum total of all places of pilgrimage and is worshipped by great sages and devotees. So he's saying that it's not that I have not heard this. I have heard it from Vyasa. Later also he will say. Now, Vidura is the son of Vyasadeva in a way, right? Because he was born out of Vyasadev's. So, which Maitreya, once he starts answering, Maitreya will mention that. But what happens is he says, I have heard about all of this from the mouth of Vyasadeva, but I am quite satiated with these lesser subject matters and their happiness. They have not satisfied me with the nectar topics about Krishna. The biggest thing, one of the things which they are saying nowadays, when you want someone to get over from Corona, they are saying this particular 10th translation, they are saying this. They are saying that don't keep listening to that whatever is in the mobile and your TV news, because you will become quite satiated. It's the same thing. Listen to something positive. So he wanted to hear subjects about the nectar of topics of Krishna. And he says, if you are actually a human, you will never be satisfied by hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he says, why Vyasadeva? I mean, particularly interesting the way he's saying, why Vyasadeva? He says Vyasadeva wrote Mahabharata, but the total Mahabharata is only meant so that the attention is drawn towards Bhagavad Gita. How important it is. He says it is drawn only to hear the attention of mass of people to Krishna Katha. It is not meant to understand who did politically correct, politically wrong. People get caught up in that quagmire. Just give me a few minutes, there is continuous calls. Sorry. So this whole idea was to draw the attention. And he says, only when you're anxious to engage constantly in hearing such topics, Krishna Katha will gradually increase indifference towards all things. So the only way we can help everyone out is by giving them Krishna Katha. And such constant remembrance of the lotus feet of Krishna by the devotee who has achieved transcendental bliss vanquishes all his miseries without delay. Right? So, but he also understands that people are not understanding that, people are not able to understand the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's saying, give me the glories of the Supreme Lord. He's coming back. See, except for the first question, he's back to business. He's saying, tell me everything about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He says, just as bees collect honey from flowers, kindly describe the essence of all topics. It says that a bee, to make a little bit of honey, has to travel to 40,000 flowers or something, or have to pick up 40,000, and then only can give a little bit of honey. So he's saying, similarly, you give me the essence of all topics. And what is the essence of all topics? The essence of all topics is to do devotional service. You know, you do something, you give me, tell me about the Supreme Controller, tell me about everything, so that I can then I can then understand, I can be fully equipped to understand about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And then Sukadeva Goswami said what Maitreya Muni will say, right? So, but here comes the fact. So we have seen quite a number of things. We have seen that how Vidura is going to Maitreya Muni, how Maitreya Muni will answer is later, how Sukadeva is answering to Parikshit. Now here, when Sukadeva is going to answer, Sukadeva is saying that, he's saying him, this particular verse 17, he's saying, he's calling Sa Evam Bhagavan Prishtaha. So we can call our spiritual master as God. So he's calling, he's Bhagavan. He's calling Maitreya as Bhagavan. So that's a very, very right thing. When someone asked Prabhupada that why are they doing this, why are they bringing you in a Rolls Royce car and all of that? So they are treating me as that. Because whoever is associated with the Lord has all the qualities of the Lord. But that person himself is not calling himself God. That was the difference between Srila Prabhupada and others. And out here, he's calling, and Prabhupada has said, the great sage described as Bhagavan because he surpassed all ordinary human beings in learning and experience. His selection of the greatest welfare service for the world is considered authoritative. And what is his all welfare service? Is devotional service to the Lord. And as requested by Vidura, the sage described the same very appropriately. He's being called Bhagavan because he is wanting the welfare of the total universe, he's of the total world. He's a spiritual master. That's why he's called Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Sastre Uktas Tatha Bhav Yatai Sadbi Kintu Prabhurya Priya Evatas. right? So it is like, because they only want the welfare of everyone, and that they know is only possible through devotional service. And anyone who does devotional service is to be glorified, is to be given the equal respect as that of spiritual master, and spiritual master should be given the equal responsibility as that of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Reminds of a very big sage now. Currently, at this point of time, all of us remember Pankajangari Prabhu. All of us remember Pankajangari Prabhu. Because, why? He was an embodiment of devotional service. Someone went and asked him that, Prabhu, we have seen the movement going through so many things, but I haven't seen both of you brothers taking a stance on anything. And he said, oh, to take a stance needs a little bit of intelligence. I don't have any intelligence. We brothers are good showing the chamaras and the peacock feathers. We would like to do that. Always immersed in the devotional service of the Lord. Always trying to see how the welfare to the total society can be in engaging the devotional service to the Lord. The other day, a devotee had come here and the devotee was saying that they used to just carry some particular jewelry for Narsimadev. And it was like with the fascination of a child, they used to say, oh, this can be used for this can be used for this. Every particular thing they used to think how they can use it in the service of the Lord. And when they use it in the service of the Lord, they could never think bad of anyone. They engaged everyone in devotional service to the Lord. And when you do devotional service to the Lord, that is the greatest welfare of all people. And this is the all-inclusive welfare society. Now, the biggest welfare what we can do is, that's why during this time is to make people God conscious, to make them understand, that why we are facing such particular difficult times at this point, because we swayed away from devotional service. So a greatest service which we can do now is to make them Krishna conscious. Hukakruk, give them prasad, make them Krishna conscious. You can imagine, yesterday we started up our day, particularly interesting. We do some free prasadam distribution here. We do 15 families here. So day first day we got a call from a person saying that he needs prasadam. Every time I said Hare Krishna, he didn't say Hare Krishna. Every time I said, he was like, he will say, but he was better than many. He used to say Hari Om. And he will say, I'll say Hare Krishna. He will say very specifically Hari Om. And I said, okay, you know what? Morning we gave him prasad. I once again said Hare Krishna, and I was discussing with Bhavanand Prabhu who was there, that this person is not even chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhu was saying, okay, yes, we gave him lunch prasad. Morning we gave breakfast, lunch we gave. At evening, he wrote back in the group, Hare Krishna. And then Bhavanand Prabhu called me to say that, see the importance of prasad. The person now started saying Krishna. It is only because, there's no difference between Krishna Prasad and Krishna. The greatest welfare service is to give Krishna to everyone. So some can be directly, you can give directly Krishna, some you have to give indirectly. Like when Vidura started up this conversation, he gave an indirect question. Then he went to the direct one. So sometimes you cannot go directly to Krishna. You give prasad. First time, Prabhupada never said chant. Prabhupada used to feed them prasad. Feed them prasad. And the body became so much that anything it overflows, also the prasad only will come. Then he gave them Krishna, then he bet them. Otherwise, even when Yamuna Devi comes for Janaki's marriage, next day is marriage. And Yamuna Devi is, Prabhupada asks, your sister marriage, you have come alone? He says, yes. Why? Your family is not coming. In India, when there is a marriage from the girl side, the total family has to come. Yamuna Devi says, no, only me. And she said, okay, I have to prepare a feast for these two people's marriage. It was Janaki and Guru Das Prabhu, I think, married. So said, okay. Said, can I help you? Said, okay, you can help me. Tomorrow we are going to make the feast. She comes. And what Prabhupada did, Prabhupada was not checking that she was not wearing Kantimala. Prabhupada was not checking that she was not chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada thought that she is now serious in doing some devotional service. There is some way, see the compassion of Srila Prabhupada, some way I have to engage in her devotional service. And what Srila Prabhupada did, when Yamuna Devi came, they start making, we have to make this dough for gulab jamun. I think they wanted to make gulab jamun, the bullets. So when she started making the gulab jamun, she said, Yamuna says, Swamiji, can you give me, after making some things, he says, I think she only needed that. And then she says, can I just go and have a smoke and come? A 70-year-old Swami hearing from a 20-year-old girl. So then I'll go smoke and come. And then someone like a Jagat Guru, and if I were there, means if we were in the position of Prabhupada, we would shout at that, Kya samajh ke rakhe ho? What is this going on? Do you understand or not? This devotional service going on. You are not supposed to even think of that. And Prabhupada smiles, just wash your hands and come back. Prabhupada says, wash your hands and come back. Next, after some time again, Prabhupada, she's sweating a bit. Prabhupada says, wash your hands and come back. Prabhupada doesn't allow her to go. Prabhupada doesn't allow her to go and get a smoke and come. But Prabhupada so nicely engages her in devotional service that the same Yamuna, who while making 10 gulab jamuns had to have a smoke, at the end writes the best bookseller on vegetarian recipes and makes people Krishna conscious by that. That is a spiritual master. He is equivalent to be called as Bhagavan by us, though he didn't call himself. Because he's compassionate, because he includes the welfare for the entire human society's devotional service to some way engage them in devotional service. That characteristics was there with Srila Prabhupada. Often quoted, like he goes, the same combination we can see from Prabhupada's thing. Prabhupada says that. Prabhupada sees the first Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai, which Malati Mataji very infamously stole and brought it, thinking that everything is Krishna's, and so Jagannath is also Krishna, so no problem. So Malati Mataji quoted, and after seeing that, Prabhupada says to Shyama Sundara, because he was a carpenter, that please go and carve this. And he carved that deity. I think even if you go now to New Vrindavan, you will see the deity. Very beautiful Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. I assume they are there. And what's happening? He goes down to see what is he doing, our Shamsundar. And Shamsundar, the place where the Ananta Shesha will sit, on that place, Ananta Shesha is not, but fire is sitting out there. There is a cigarette butt sitting out there. And Prabhupada says, Prabhupada just throws down, what is that? Oh, it's like I'm a big carpenter. He's doing so. During that, he has to smoke. He has to have his smoke, and he's putting that smoke bud over there. Prabhupada would have threw him out. But Prabhupada, no. Prabhupada, with love, explained it to him in such a way, he engaged him in devotional service in such a way that he gave it up automatically. But that is only possible when he gave him a higher taste by engaging him in devotional service. That's why Prabhupada was looking after the entire welfare service. I was hearing a lecture of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, maybe a year ago or so. And Radhanath Swami Maharaj says, the biggest preacher in the world, in the ISKCON movement, is Shyama Sundara Prabhu. How do we understand that? He's not giving a very nice class, he's not giving something else. But by his activities, by which he pleased his spiritual master, by doing all those things, what his spiritual master became, Maharaj says that he's the biggest. And how did that preacher become the biggest preacher? Because of the compassion of his spiritual master. That is why Srila Prabhupada is he's doing a greatest welfare service for the entire human society. And then see this, when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada used to talk to his disciples. He used to call your Dasanudas, it's your servant. He used to come out in that particular aspect. He said, I'm here to serve you. And Srila Prabhupada also, Prabhupada, I mean Bhakti Vedanta Swami also, and in one of the lectures, in one of the Vyasa Puja lectures, he says to his disciples, my spiritual master has sent all of you so that you all can help me. So every time a vakta means someone who is speaking, glorifies the Shrota, because he understands that by the blessings of the Shrota and by the presence of the Shrota will Vyasa come upon him so that he can speak some words of transcendence. And that is one more thing, how we have to be so much understanding. Two natures when you have to preach, you have to understand. One is the compassionate, you have to be compassionate, otherwise you cannot give Krishna. Second is you have to understand that who is sitting in front of you. And here Maitreya is saying, Maitreya could understand what level Vidura is, and he says that, oh Vidura, all to you. Vidura, you my disciple, you don't know anything, you have come and asked me already 15 questions, now sit down here, I'm going to give you a class. Not like that. He says, Vidura, all glory unto you. You have inquired from me the greatest of all goodness. And you have shown greatness because you have shown your mercy both to world and to me. The Bhaktas, that is why Maitreya can give it. Only then he can represent the Vyasasana, because only then the parampara will flow through him, because he's making himself a via media. You only can make yourself a conductor when you have this mood. And he's saying that you are asking me a question that is for my. If we don't understand that, it's not, certain times we, in the flow of things, we, even before someone asks a question, being always engrossed in the mode of passion and ignorance, what we do is we always say, that's your question, let me answer it to you. We don't even think that that question may be for us, and we have to a little bit contemplate, think about it, and then come about it, understand or something. And here he's saying, you have asked this question and you don't ask any question, because I know that your mind is always absorbed in the thoughts of transcendence. Because your mind is always absorbed in the thoughts of transcendence, because you always want to think. So any questions you ask will also be related to that. So when I also start thinking about it, I will also come into this aspect. I will also come into this. And that's why Prabhupada also writes that Maitreya Muni could understand that Vidura's mind was fully absorbed in transcendence, and he reveals himself to the sincere devotee. Because Vidura was always absorbed in thought of the Lord, Maitreya could estimate Vidura's transcendental value. He appreciated the valuable inquiries of Vidura and thus thanked him with great honor. So he was always thankful to them. And we will see this interesting conversation which will come up from tomorrow onwards. But we will stop here. It's already 9. And if you all have any comments, you want to correct me on some aspects. And oh, sure, Mataji, I missed that. And if you have anything to add across or any questions, we can take it up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. No. Okay. Hare Krishna. Yes. Prabhu. Yes. Hare Krishna.
So the question was like a little different from the topic of discussion about, but Vidura only. But Vidura, when he was there, actually, towards the end, when battlefield of, you are able to hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
So towards the end, when Krishna goes as Santi Doot, that time actually he goes to the house of Vidura, and that time Vidura becomes angry on Duryodhana and party, and then Duryodhana was rejecting him, and then he goes back, for pilgrimage. But during Draupadi's, the disrobing and all that time, Vidura was also present. And I have heard that whoever was present in that assembly, actually, everybody was punished, even including Vikarna, and he was also protesting against it. But he was also given punishment, and whoever was present in that assembly was given punishment. So then how come Vidura could escape that?
Pretty interesting question, Prabhu. Maybe I will only have to either ask some Vaishnavas about that, if some Vaishnavas have given the understanding on it. But let me just open my mouth. Sometimes when we speak, you can understand that I'm a fool. So I will speak. So it is, Vikarna was also doing so. So if I understood the essence of your question, even Vikarna was protesting, and even Vidura was protesting, but Vikarna was killed and Vidura was not killed, or Vidura was not punished, if in a sense we can think of the question on that aspect, So I take it this way. The Lord is equal to everyone. When we say the Lord is equal to everyone, it means the Lord knows that how he can bring back the people to him by hook or crook. It's like the son, he's just waiting that how he can come. So there was this wonderful opportunity by which he knew that all these Kauravas will not be able to come to me immediately. The only way is if they die in the battlefield, because being in the presence of Kurukshetra, they will either come back. That's the blessing of Kurukshetra, which Indra has given. They'll go to heavenly planets. Second is because they are dying in front of Krishna, they will go back to, they will achieve supreme destination also, which we may or may not, it may be Goloka, it may be the Brahman, but they will go back, the spiritual world kind of thing. So there, I think what we term in our way as punishment to Vikarna and others was actually good for them. Because we have also seen in the other places, then when Yudhishthira goes, he already finds that all of them are already there. All of them are there. So in fact, by killing them also, he got them back because they were a part of the game and the world is also relieved. And to get back Vidura also was, it's in a sense that when Vidura comes back, again, Vidura after this will come back, will take Dhritarashtra, because he had one more objective to be fulfilled. He had to ensure this fellow Dhritarashtra and others, they are not going back still. So the Lord even wants to pull them out. So he uses Vidura for that, takes Dhritarashtra. You ask, what was the problem of Kunti? Why did she have to go through that? Dhritarashtra goes, Gandhari goes, Kunti goes with them, and all of them die in the forest fire. But again, Srila Prabhupada writes that they go back to, they do not go back to Goloka, but they will achieve a better destination. I forget what exactly Prabhupada writes, but something like Super Brahman or something he goes, because he says about Dhritarashtra something. And Vidura also will be then, I think Vidura also lives that way only during that time, if I'm not wrong. I don't remember exactly after that what happened. So I think some way or the other, Vidura had vehemently protested, and he also took his decision not to participate in the war against the Pandavas, and hence he didn't stay in the battlefield. So the concept of punishment, etc., became a bit different, and here Vidura was given some more assignments, and once he completed, he went back. Of course, Vidura is the Mahajana, but I do not know exactly. Again, if I can get some more points, I will maybe share with you, Prabhu. But that is what I can remember more. Oh, here Prabhu is there. Prabhu can answer. Hare Krishna, Raja Krishna Prabhu, Dandavats.
While taking prasadam, I was hearing a wonderful class. Where the break of Bhakti class was so wonderful to hear from you.
Prabhu, that's glorious that you heard. Now I am honored. So I think if there are any corrections, you can correct it, and you can just.
So I'm learning right Vaishnava etiquette, how to take questions, what is the mood of a teacher.
You're my teacher, Hare Krishna. I'm
Servant.
now doing my Bhakti Vaibhav under Braja Krishna Prabhu, so he's my teacher now. So
I am your servant, no? You only said the mood of the servant.
So Dinesh Prabhu, that is what I have. Prabhu, if you want to add something to that, to Dinesh Prabhu's question, please feel free to. Whatever I knew, I spoke, Prabhu.
Answered very nice.
I'm waiting to hear you if you want to.
No, because Dinesh said that everybody was punished.
Right.
I'm heard it that everybody was punished because we cannot oppose it. See, just killing is not a sign of punishment because even Draupadi got killed. Draupadi was daughter of Draupadi. So just killing doesn't mean punishment, but giving them help, that's its punishment. The party had to see for all things, and the race got shortened. But other people, it's like Bhishma also. In one way, he is punished, he is killed. But Lord Krishna is above. So where Bhishma is punished? So it should be seen from a Mahabharata from a Karma Kanda point of view, from a devotional point, service point of view, and something from a worldly point of view. What happened in the world? So there are different connotations for it. So we cannot say that everybody was punished. So I don't see anything because Vidura was always opposing, and probably he opposed or not opposed so much. During that time also he would have opposed, but nothing was in his power because anyway he had a lot of fights happen with Dhritarashtra and others. He would have surely opposed it, but nothing could have been taken into account, like Vibhishan opposing Ravana.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Savi ko Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Aditya, you had a question?
Thank you, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Am I audible now, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Thank you very much for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. My doubt was that when Duryodhana insulted Vidurji, so at that time Vidurji left, which means after the war he met Uddhava almost at the time when Lord Krishna has left, which is like during the end of Yudhishthira Maharaj's reign already. Right, Prabhuji?
Could be, okay.
So when he goes back to Hastinapur, and Dhritarashtra, Mother Kunti and Mother Gandhari, all of them also go to the forest.
Right.
But he does not reveal to the Pandavas that Lord Krishna has already left the world. Because the Pandavas inquire, but Vidurji does not tell them. He just jots it
That is before that, no? Is that not in the chronology? I think they go first. I don't think Kunti and Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they hear the news of Krishna. They live before that. Right. So at that, okay, you're saying that, okay, how do we understand this chronology kind of thing?
Yes, Prabhuji. Because as soon as they leave, then Arjuna goes to Dwarka and then he gets the news that Lord has. Which means, is it a span of these two pastimes happening is very close or is it very different? Because Lord Krishna has already left the world.
Yeah, correct. Because it's Arjuna who comes back, and Arjuna is the one, right? We see the disappearance of Lord Krishna in first canto when we see it's Arjuna who comes and because Yudhishthira sees his bodily symptoms and asks what is the thing, and then Arjuna explains to him on that. Now in this, your question is, where did this happen? This is Vidura Maitreya Vacha is later, but I mean that is earlier, but it comes in this context. It is not in a very chronological sequence. But I'm again taken aback as to I didn't think about totally of the chronology of to how it happened. But it is such mention. It could happen together or some way that Vidura came, took and went, and how it happened. Don't know, maybe something to ponder about, or someone else, Raj Prabhu is there, or Krishna Kishore Prabhu or anyone else can answer that. I don't know how to put that in the sequence. First who came, who was done. We know Pandus heard it from this one. I think in that particular chapter, if I'm not wrong, there is a mention of Queen Kunti once, but later there is also the other place where Vidura comes and take Dhritarashtra and others and go. So if I understood your question, you were asking how did that happen, right? Or did I?
Yes, Prabhuji, the chronology of those three events.
We'll try to see from Canto 1, if you give me a minute.
Yes, Prabhuji.
We'll give one chance.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Meanwhile, anyone else who knows it, please feel free to unmute and talk. So I'll just share my screen, This is on Canto 1 creation. So we see passing away, then Lord Krishna, Dhritarashtra quits home. Okay, so here Dhritarashtra quits home and then the disappearance of Lord Krishna and then the Pandavas retired timely. So when we So while traveling on a pilgrimage, Vidura replied, so Maitreya, yes. So Vidura, when he's coming, he already has this knowledge because he has met with Maitreya already. And he's then coming, and and when he comes back, Vidura didn't say that. Vidura knew it. Vidura didn't say it. And here, if you see, all the inhabitants, Yudhishthira, his younger brothers, Dhritarashtra, Satyaki, everyone came. Many other wives all hurried to him in great delight, and then it appeared that they regained their consciousness. So Yudhishthira then spoke. He's asking, you may have visited Dwaraka. Here, very clearly mentioned, Prabhu. Thus being questioned by Maharaj Yudhishthira, Mahatma Vidura gradually described everything he had personally experienced except news of the annihilation of Yadu dynasty. So he knew it first, but he didn't say it. He chose to keep it to himself. He waited that Arjuna will come and say. He first took these people and went away.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Which means that even after Lord Krishna left, after many months or probably years, that they got to know that Lord Krishna has left.
Could be, yes. With our material timing understanding, that is what. So Vidura, 1 minute. I want to just one more thing I want to see. See here, it says Dhritarashtra went, Gandhari went, somewhere I have read that even Kunti also went with them. But that is one more thing which we will have to little bit clear. Maybe during this Bhakti Vaibhav, we will take some more guidance from Prabhu. Because after this, it is mentioned, or is there only about Draupadi and Subhadra? I don't know. Let me just show you what is hurting me. Disappearance of Lord Krishna, if you see here, once he sees everything, he asks Arjuna, and then, okay, he didn't say. Pandavas, okay. Arjuna, Krishna, he said that everyone have gone. Arjuna is explaining the good qualities of Krishna. 2 more minutes, please bear with me. See here, Kunti is there. Yeah, Kunti is there, you know. It says Kunti, after overhearing Arjuna's telling of the Yadu dynasty, engaged in devotional service of the transcendental personality of God with full attention. But we also know that Kunti also went with Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. I have read it here say. That is something which needs to be a little bit clarified. But other than that, it is okay in the chronological order now. This is a very nice question which improved my understanding. Thank you, Prabhu. There is one very nice statement which I would like to end the class with. Okay. Here, Vidura, while on pilgrimage, left his body at Prabhasha. So this was because he was absorbed in thought of Krishna. He was received by the denizens of the Pitraloka planet. This is something I liked. I will say you that. I hope you all have thought about it. So this is on Draupadi. Draupadi seeing that her husbands were leaving. Prabhupada writes something about this. This statement, you know, when flying an airplane, one cannot take care of other planes. Everyone has to take care of his own plane. And if there is any danger, no other plane can help another in that condition. Similarly, at the end of life, when one has to go back home, back to Godhead, everyone has to take care of himself without help rendered by another. The help is, however, offered on the ground before flying in the space. Similarly, the spiritual master, the father, the mother, the relatives, the husbands, and others can all render help during one's lifetime. But while crossing the sea, one has to take care of himself and utilize the instructions formerly received. So whatever we are doing is just to prepare, because there we will be all alone with Krishna. Draupadi had 5 husbands and no one asked Draupadi to come. Draupadi had to take care of herself without waiting for her great husbands. And because she was already trained, she at once took to concentration upon the lotus feet of Lord Vasudeva Krishna. The wives also got the same result as husbands in the same manner, that is to say, without changing their bodies, they reached the destination of God. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur suggests that both Draupadi and Subhadra got the same result. None of them had to quit the body. Anyway, so fly our own airplane, please, and take all the instructions now. Hare Krishna, a very nice thing to contemplate on. Right. We'll stop here. With all of your permission, it's already 19 minutes. Unless anyone else wants to comment or add. Thank you, Vipin Vihari Prabhu.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you for improving my understanding. Thank you, Prashant Prabhu. Chance, long time coming for a Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasinda. All glories to devotional service. Please, for all the devotees, all the non-devotees, whoever are suffering, let them all get well soon and come back, Krishna willing, to devotional service.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. That was enough.
Dhanavad Pranam Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Kishore Prabhu.